Pooh case just took a different turn, and now the story is not only about what the feds are alleging. Now it's also about what the defense is starting to push back on, what the internet is trying to turn Gucci Mane into, and why one old Pooh clip suddenly looks a whole lot worse. Because today, Pooh's lawyer Bradford Cohen came out and said, there appears to be a significant gap between what the government is saying and what the actual evidence shows. That matters. Because up until now, most of this story has been driven by the federal complaint, the DOJ press conference, and those paperwork details that made the case sound brutal from the jump. But once the defense starts talking like that, the story changes. Now, it's not just what are prosecutors alleging. Now it becomes, what exactly do they think they can prove? And what part of this case is the defense going to attack first? And that brings me to the clip that hits different right now, because one of the worst looks in this whole situation is not even from the raid. It's that live stream clip where Pooh appears to be riding around while he's supposed to be on home confinement, and when somebody from supervision checks in, he acts like he's in one place while the stream makes it look like he's somewhere else entirely. That clip matters because the federal paperwork already says victims overheard him talking to someone who seemed like a caseworker, saying he had permission to be out on rec time before being told he needed to return.
Hello?
Yeah,
Latrell Williams. Yeah, I'm at the house. Refresh it. That's where I live at. Look, I ain't lying to you. I ain't playing no game.
You can mute the joint right now, Trey.
Prosecutors also say electronic monitoring data placed him at the Dallas studio despite the conditions of his release. So when that old stream starts circulating again, it does not feel random. It feels like the internet found another clip that matches the image prosecutors are already trying to build. And that is why this follow-up matters. Because on one side, the government is still saying Pooh was the ringleader in a Dallas studio setup tied to his 2017 contract. They say he brought the label owner into a private room, forced a release signature at gunpoint, and that the rest of the room turned into an armed robbery with multiple victims. On the other side, the defense is now clearly signaling that their version of events is going to look very different. And it's not just Bradford Cohen saying that. A second defense voice also surfaced, with attorney John Helms saying Pooh's side of the case will be significantly different from the government's version, and that in the music business, people's motivations are often not what they seem. That tells me the defense may be trying to turn this from a clean kidnapping story into a messy dispute over money, contracts, and business politics. So now the video gets more interesting, because once you move from pure allegations into defense strategy, the next person the internet starts watching is Gucci Mane. Not because Gucci has said anything publicly, he hasn't, at least in the reporting I checked, but because online, people are trying to turn Gucci into the pressure point. That's where this DJ Vlad's screenshot comes in. Vlad's angle is basically this. If Gucci gets on the stand and says he was robbed, then people online are going to attack his reputation and call him a snitch. But if Gucci says nothing happened, then he undercuts the idea that any contract release was signed under pressure. And that could affect the business side too. Now, to be clear, that is commentary. That is not court evidence. That is not a ruling. That is not a confirmed legal strategy from Gucci's side, but it is absolutely the conversation the internet is having right now. And that is why those old Gucci clips are resurfacing. One old clip shows him talking tough in traffic, like somebody who was not scared of confrontation.
Nigga was like, hey, dude, I need to give you something, dog. F me, dog. I said, man, you walk down here, I'm gonna give your ass some bullets, man. Who said that? You know, nigga out that traffic. Nigga, man, don't even walk up on me, but I'm telling you now, you walk up on me, I ain't even decided you.
Another old clip has him talking about how federal cases work and how he does not respect people who cooperate.
So once you've been in the feds, you get out, you understand the power of snitching, because everybody snitches. Because that's why they got the conviction rate of 98%, because everybody who goes to the feds, they really plead guilty or they tell. It's not no like fighting trial and people beating it, because they don't even take the case unless they got all the evidence. They're not just taking cases.
Right.
They taking cases that they know they got you. They ain't even coming to them.
Those clips are old, but they are being reposted now, for one reason. People are trying to force Gucci into a reputation test before he has even publicly spoken on this case. And honestly, that's what makes this whole thing messier than a normal rap headline. Because the feds are building one story, the defense is building another story, and the internet is building a third story completely around image. Then you get to court, and court moves on facts, not on blog logic. That part matters too because the hearing update is real. A federal judge found probable cause to move the case forward. Pooh was not in that Memphis courtroom because reporting says he remains in custody in Dallas, but his father, Lontrell Williams Sr., was there and got a $250,000 bond. So now the case is moving past the shock phase and into the part where bond decisions, defense arguments, and testimony start separating the defendants from each other. That's why the old Pooh clip where he talks like he is the realist and says he creates his own game, but because it gives the audience a look at the kind of energy that is now being judged against federal paperwork, defense statements, and a courtroom timeline that is only getting more serious.
I ain't blood, I ain't crip, I ain't Muslim, killing rumors. Try this shit on one of them other cabin rappers, I'm gonna shoot them. I don't join g***s, I make them. Go type Shiesty on Google, man. I don't join g***s, I make them. Go read about me on Google. I'm gonna redo the federal contraband because I don't really think y'all could hear it over the phone and,
And that's the real tension here. The government is still saying this was a planned Dallas setup over a contract dispute. The defense is now saying there is a real gap between the public story and the actual evidence. Gucci has still not publicly broken his silence in the reporting I checked, and the internet is already trying to decide what Gucci has to protect more if this gets deeper: his money, his brand, or his reputation. So that is where the story stands tonight. Not finished, not settled, and definitely not as simple as that first-rate headline made it look. Now the biggest question is what happens next, because if Pooh's bond hearing brings more testimony, or if Gucci's side says anything at all, this case could shift again fast. If you want the next chapter when it drops, subscribe.
Don't need to see something. They got these broke ass niggas. Don't need to see a real. Ain't never told on nobody. With the M's. If you got more money than me, I'll let you on my live. None of y'all niggas got more money than me, man. Period. I'll put together. Or my wife. You talking about broke ass, soft ass. Nigga, I might buy my wife a $50,000 ring. Nigga, ain't nobody gonna do a $50 million ring. Nigga ain't even not even look at her finger. Soft ass.